And we're ready whenever you are, Mayor.
Thank you. Good evening and thank you for attending tonight's city council meeting. For those who are attending remotely, the camera in council chambers is set up to show those attending in person tonight. The platform we are using has a raise hand feature. You will notice a picture of a hand in the upper right hand corner. When we reach the point in the meeting where the public has the opportunity to address council, you can click that button to be given your opportunity to address council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kathy, please call the roll.
Mayor Tully,
Here.
Counselor Silly,
Here.
Counselor Powers,
Here.
Counselor Scamperly,
Here.
Counselor Stevenson,
Here.
Counselor Tebow,
Here.
Counselor Trim, quorum present.
I seek council consent to excuse Counselor Trim as she is out of town this evening.
Yes.
Thank you. We have 3 presentations tonight. We'll begin with the 2024 audit presentation.
All right, thank you and good evening. Today we have our audit results of the 2024 financial statements of the city of Ogdensburg. We're required to meet with the audit committee and the city council to discuss our results of the audit and under our auditing standards, and what is presented today will be considered our required communications for you, and also open it up to any questions that you may have on the financial statements. Tonight I'm joined with Jason Coleman. He is the audit principal on the engagement, and I'm going to pass it off to him now to present the required communications.
Thanks, Eric, and thank you everybody for having us here. Good evening. As Eric said, I'm going to go through a few items with you relatively quick. I do want to mention that on the 18th of July, Eric and I had met with the audit committee and had gone through in more detail and in depth the required communications letter, as well as some of the financial statement items. I'm going to be more condensed and just go through a few of the required communication components, the more important pieces. And then, as Eric said, I'll open it up to questions. So again, we are required as part of our audit procedures and your independent auditors to communicate certain aspects of our audit plan and results. So first and foremost, we plan to issue an unmodified opinion on the 2024 financial statements. That's a clean opinion. That's the opinion that you're looking for, stating that your numbers are materially correct. As part of our audit procedures, we go through different estimates and significant estimates, which primarily relate to pension actuarial valuations with the post-retirement plan, as well as the ERS and PFRS plan. So we review those estimates in relation, or as part of audit procedures, and have determined that in relation to the audit financial statements, they're reasonable. Accounting principles and policies, they're described in note 1 to the financial statements. It's consistent presentation with prior years. The most important thing to note out of those accounting policies is that there was a new one adopted by the city for the 2024 audit, GASB 101, related to compensated absences. Again, this was adopted, but it had no material impact on the financial statements or the numbers reported by the city, as the new methodology under the standard was already how the city was recording compensated absences, your sick leave, your PTO, and various other minor types of leaves. So again, that was adopted by the city for 24, but no material impact. And that is disclosed in the footnotes to the financial statements. We had no disagreements with management. I'd like to commend management for, again, we started this audit earlier than I think has been done in prior years, and we're in a place that I don't think we've been in some time of presenting these audit results to you. So I want to commend management, Fonda, the mayor, Angela, and Jennifer for working with us seamlessly through the whole audit process. Again, questions that we had were timely answered. Information that we requested was also timely provided. If we ever had any significant questions or comments, it was easy to hop on the phone and have a discussion to to get through whatever audit matters we had. There were no other audit findings or matters to report. We had no audit adjustments proposed. You can have audit adjustments, and those are required to be communicated to governance. But again, please report that we did not have any audit adjustments as part of our procedures. Lastly, upon conclusion and approval of the draft, we will issue a management representation letter, which just states that management has provided everything that we've inquired and asked for, as well as been truthful in any of the inquiries that we've had with them. That sums up the required communications component. The financial statements themselves are consistent with the 2023 presentation. The only change that there was just, again, as I had noted, there was the new accounting standard, GASB 101, was adopted. So that's the only new disclosure within the financial statements. Otherwise, they're consistently presented. And with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions.
Any questions for Jason on the required communications? Okay, we have none. All right, so at this point, would manager like to speak to these financial statements?
The only thing I would like to say, and I'll give the controller an opportunity as well, is that it's been a long time, but we finally got to where we need to be. All of our audits are up to speed and up to snuff with all clean audits, which is great. I want to thank Eric. I want to thank Jason, everyone at Fuss Charles for all their hard work in getting us to where we need to be. And it certainly will help us when it comes time to our reporting and our debt service. I also want to thank again, I think I did last meeting, do the same, Angela, the controller, and the finance director, Jen Wilson. They did the lion's share of the work, and everyone in the controller's office did a great job to get us where we are. Angela, if you wanted to make a comment, I'm willing to yield the floor.
Good evening, Council. I just wanted to go over quickly the part of the audit that is the work of the city management, and that is the management discussion and analysis. Whereas we kind of take the audit, look at some economic factors facing the city, and we write about that inside the audit report. So this part of the audit report identifies our current issues to the reader of the financial statements, its representation of the city, talks about the 2025 budget, which we built to help start to preserve some of the core services in the city, address our fiscal challenges, and to ultimately support long-term stability and growth. We do speak about the economics of St. Lawrence County's unemployment being higher than throughout the entire state, so that does pose some challenges. Our tax base in the city remains stagnant, and the city continues to face a $1.8 million shortfall of revenue since the preemption of sales tax. So that's a continuous thing that we're dealing with in 2025. And as we go into the 2026 budget season, we'll continue to deal with that as well. We do provide budget highlights in this report, stating that we reduced the property tax levy in order to help stimulate some economic growth as part of that. We are nearing our constitutional tax limit hazard area. So we're about 76%, 80. The comptroller of the state will write us a letter without exclusions. We are very close to 90%. So we have, just to keep this in our radar for future decision makings. We've done some cost reductions, primarily in personnel, which is pressuring the ability to provide government services the way it always has been. That's addressed. Of the fund balance leaving the 2024 audit, we have appropriated $450,000 in the general fund to pay for 2025 expenditures and $150,000 in the sewer fund. We continue to have fiscal pressures, which is limiting our ability in some space. The infrastructure and capital needs are also identified. We did finish the wastewater treatment plant upgrade, which was over $42 million. We continue to need upgrades to our pump stations. Some of those projects are in the works. We have a combined storm water and wastewater systems that needs to be addressed. The city is coming up to the implications of deferring road maintenance, building maintenance, maintenance on the recreational facilities, replacing aging equipment. So we continue to be meeting the baseline, but we do have a significant amount of capital projects that are coming our way. Not surprisingly, the projection of our retirement and healthcare costs are increasing. Those are a significant part of every major fund budget, the general fund, water fund, and sewer fund. Coming at the end of 2025, the fire department's contract is expiring for the union, and that adds more uncertainty to our government. As you know, more than half of the general fund is allocated to public safety. And all these factors will continue to contribute to operating deficits. So the water fund, we did increase rates last year. Currently, our sewer fund needs a hard look at rates. And so these are some of those items that we talk about in the discussion and analysis and how to stabilize this and move forward in a positive fiscal and strong way. So they are challenges, but with collaboration and decision-making and just continuous care, hopefully we'll get there.
Thank you, Angela. Any questions or comments? Okay, I would just like to echo the city manager's comments on behalf of council to thank Angela Gray and the controller's office for their efforts in providing the information necessary for our auditors to be able to issue the independent audit report on 2024 finances in July of this year. I think it's probably been some time since we've seen the audit completed 7 months after the end of the fiscal year. You know, there have been times we've waited 12 months plus. So the efforts, both of our staff and the auditors, is really appreciated by council and management. Having firm numbers in 2024 available certainly helps in management's development of an initial 2026 city budget that will be presented to us in the fall. And again, pleased that in the independent auditor's report that an unmodified or clean opinion was offered again this year, and it speaks to the excellence of the work in the controller's office to achieve that opinion. And just to again echo Angela's comments, if anyone is reading the audit report, management's comments on pages 14 and 15 dealing with economic factors and the impact on future budgets, I think is a very important read as we get ready to get the budget development for 2026. So with that, Jason and Eric, thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good evening.
Thanks you
as
too.
well.
Right, next, we have a presentation from the 2025 Charter Review Commission, Chairman Jim Morris.
Good evening. This presentation covers the work of the 12-member 2025 Charter Review Commission. Its members, Mike Brashaw, Brian Gilbride, Wendy Hamilton, Connie Jenkins, James LaFave, Doug Lofter, James McCarthy, Angela Rufa, Kyle Sharp, Dallas Sutton, John Wilson, and myself, Jim Morrison, elected as chair. We first met in January as an organizational meeting, and then monthly from February through May to review the current document, either leaving sections alone, suggesting changes, some of which were provided through the mayor by city council or through city staff by the city manager, or earmarking sections which we felt needed further review. That further review happened at our June meeting, and at that time, we felt that the document was complete for the process of sending it to the city attorney as a local law commenced. Mr. Gouldy promptly responded to our proposed changes, noting that all were quote unquote legally sound. And so the commission met one final time in July. And at that meeting, we agreed upon moving everything forward, which leads us here tonight. I want to note that there was very good discussion throughout our meetings. And while there was not always complete agreement on any of the topics or some of the topics or issues, the discourse was always civil and respectful. And I felt that everyone had a chance to share whatever insight they might bring to the table. And as my role as chair, I felt that was one of my most important things to do, is to make sure everybody had a chance to be heard. While I do not intend to go through all the recommended changes here tonight, they are in your packet. And my understanding is that the next step in this process is to call for a public hearing at your next meeting. I will make sure I'll make myself available to be here to represent the commission at that point as well. But I would like to touch upon a few of the recommendations that we had, what I'll call some of the meatier ones. Residency requirements. This was probably our most in-depth discussion. Over several different meetings this came up. In the end, we had a 7-2 vote, the only vote that was not unanimous in our commission's deliberations, to allow council to waive the residency requirements for the following positions: city clerk, city manager, director of planning and development, director of public works, city assessor, director of parks and recreation, and city comptroller. It's important to note that the whole group felt strongly that it was best if a person does live in the city, because we felt that the being part of the community matters. And we also, the term skin in the game came up a couple different times during our discussions, and we felt that, it made sense that that was the way to go. In the end, the 7-2 vote to allow the waiver really boiled down to, and I'm quoting one of the members, Dallas Sutton, who basically said, I think it's far better for the citizens to have the right person in the job than a person who mainly lives in the city and could meet some of those or most of the requirements. So I think that vote, I want to again note that there were a couple dissents. And I do want to note that it's important that, again, the wording of this is the preference of council to employ whatever position we're talking about of that list to reside in the city limits, but the council may waive that. So we start by saying it is the preference that that person lives in the city. And I believe that is how the committee feels. The second item is vacancies on city council. Our change there really just kind of focused on log jams. And what we felt was that if after a majority of votes through 5 ballots, this is again trying to fill a vacancy, then voting ceases. And at that point, the city clerk notifies the vacancy committee that they need to come back together and present new names, not one of the ones that was previously not voted to fill the vacancy, and provide new names to council for another set of votes. We just felt that wording helped to prevent any kind of log jams when that situation arises. Next topic is budget dates and the budget process. We changed the word preliminary from the city manager's budget to you folks to recommended. And that recommended budget is due no later than October 15th or the Thursday before the first council meeting. And then the city council has a chance to work through the budget by October 31st and adopt a preliminary budget. Preliminary budget consists of the city manager's recommended budget along with any modifications or changes that you folks want to put into the, feel that should be part of the budget. We did want to note that, again, I don't think this is really a change so much, but that should a preliminary budget not be adopted by October 31st, the city manager's recommended budget becomes the preliminary budget. Salaries for compensation of the mayor and city councilors. Our discussion there focused on comparison of what's going on around us, and we have lagged some in that regard comparatively. It has also been a long time since that those numbers have been addressed. So we did recommend small, I'll call them inflationary increases in those positions, both mayor and for all the councilors. And those would be effective, of course, with January 26th with the new budget. City manager removal process. It was important to us that there was wording in the charter that the city manager, should there be a situation where council was moving to dismiss that person, still remain an employee of the city, and all accruals, insurance coverage, and any other fringe benefits that were part of the initial regulations under their contractual obligation remain in effect until that process culminates. And we also felt that it was important that city council may not remove a sitting city manager 60 days before or after an election where at least 2 council seats on the ballot are open, unless there's the possible or conviction of a felony. Again, just trying to keep our practices so that everything remains clean and above board if we ever have to go through a process like that. The police department, there was a recommendation which we thought made a lot of sense to allow there to be 2 divisions within the office of the chief of police. There's a patrol division, and we're recommending a patrol division and a criminal investigation division based on sufficient appropriations through the budget. The heads of those divisions will be appointed by the chief of police with the approval of the city manager. I think that's a good separation of duties and makes good sense for the efficiency of our police department. City manager funds authority transfer. We wanted to give the city manager, we felt that the recommendation before us that we wanted to talk through was to give a little more flexibility to transfer some unencumbered appropriations throughout the course of the year. I mean, no budget is ever perfect. And so when there are unencumbered balances between the departments, we're recommending that the city manager have the authority to transfer up to $10,000 between departments, and then to inform you folks at the next practicable management council meeting under items for discussion that has happened. And again, I think it's just a flexibility thing that we felt was important to have the city manager have that ability. My last item that I'll cover is the actual charter review commission itself. We felt that it was important to have it be 6 years. We talked about a little more, a little less, and felt that 6 years was reasonable. So the next one should commence before the end of 2031. And we also put a little bit of teeth into that by saying that should that commission not be elected or not be put in place to occur by that point in time, that all powers under the city charter that city council enjoys would be revoked pursuant to the charter, and they would be vacated until the establishment of that charter review commission. We also felt that 12 might be not as easy a number to come up with in the future, and did not want a hard and fast number, so we changed the range of commissioners to 10 to 12 from 12. I'd like to close by thanking Kathy Chop for her wonderful organizational and research skills. I could not have asked for a better person to help me through this process as chairperson. She's been wonderful to work with. And I also know the commission greatly appreciates City Manager Fonda Cronus's participation, as much as being even remote, and joined us at one of our meetings. And there were lots of times when we were somewhat stuck on the meaning of something or the operational impact of it. And Mr. Cronus was able to provide us with the way forward and an understanding, which was extremely valuable. So again, my thanks to those 2 people for making this a much more tolerable process than what it may have otherwise been. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any of them tonight. Again, I will be here on August 11th.
Thank you, Jim. Questions or comments from council?
I do have 2 questions. Concerning the vacancy committee, many times we don't have more than 3 or 4 names for that. So if, and by chance, we are in that position, would they re-canvass for additional names then at that point, or would it have to go back to the original list? How would that?
I mean, I don't think the wording in there is such, Jennifer, that precludes that from happening. But I don't think we really tried to, we weren't trying to be so specific that we laid out the process for them. I kind of think we felt they followed a process, and if it did require some more canvassing, then so be it.
I think I would be happier if we saw a little more direction in that, so it's not.
Well, I think in the past, we've left it at the discretion of the vacancy committee itself to determine how they would canvass the community for interested parties.
No, I realize that.
So this maintains that discretion.
But if we're going to start back over again, would it be a whole process starting over? So they would re-canvass that?
Well, that would be at their discretion.
Okay. Then my second question would be with the residency requirement, because that is a very important decision by
Absolutely.
council.
Absolutely.
So did the commission have any discussion whether that would be a simple majority or a supermajority?
If we did not conclude it as part of our recommendation, so I think we felt that the majority would be okay. We did not, there was some discussion actually about the term supermajority, and, we just didn't, obviously did not feel that it was part of the final recommendation, but it should, that, it's something.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I've got two different things in my packet here regarding the Charter Review Commission.
Okay,
I'm assuming the loose leaf with the longer explanations and when it's going to be in the resolution. Am I correct with that, Kathy?
Yes, sir, you are correct.
Thank you.
And I do want to say thank you to the Charter Review
Absolutely.
Commission. Thank you. It's a lot of work.
yep, the group did a great job.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, thank you.
So one of the figures in terms of transferring funds, we removed 5% and of a department's budget without a council approval. Basically, the city manager or the comptroller can transfer money. Any particular reason why 5% was removed and 10,000, that specific number was added?
Well, not that I recall specifically, Dan, but that was part of our recommendation. We talked about some of the departments and the size of them, and some of the funds that, could be available and unencumbered within them. But to be honest, I can't answer your question. I'm not sure why 5% was not included in 10,000 was the function.
Could I ask, was this a management recommendation?
It was, if you take 5% of the fire department's budget, it's roughly $300,000. And as a city manager, I don't feel that an unelected official should be able to move $300,000 around without council support. And as that's written, you could interpret it as the city manager has the authority to move that money. So it's actually a check on the city manager as opposed to giving him authority or him or her authority that he didn't already have.
Well, I understand that aspect of it. And I just thought it was decreased significantly when considering a budget. And so I didn't know if you had input on that as well. And you think $10,000 is a good max on that?
That's a decision for council to make. Of course, in the heat of it, we always want to have maximum flexibility. So it's whatever number or threshold council feels it is appropriate. I just didn't think that $300,000 is a good number to be able to move around without the elected officials being able to weigh in on that and make the decision.
Right. But to me, I just felt like 10,000 was too small. Yeah, it should be somewhat. I mean, what's $10,000 get you? One set of equipment, for a guy, or some holsters, maybe. It's just, to me, it's not a lot, and I was thinking it took too much away. It's my thought on that. So something for council to think about if you wanted to up that number. And I have no idea what a good number would be at, but I suspect department heads could pitch in on that and maybe think about that over the next couple of weeks while we look at that and come back. That was something that caught my eye. And as far as the police goes, I think that it kind of works that way anyways. Did the police chief have influence or discussion on this?
Through city manager. Yes.
Okay, good. That looks like a good change. That was all, the only questions I had so far.
I do have a couple of comments, I suppose. With regards to the recommendations for the change with regards to residency, what the commission has proposed to us is consistent with the request from council to address residency issues with our appointed officials, not our elected officials. As I think we're all aware, the New York Conference of Mayors is advocating for a more liberal interpretation of residency to help municipalities in their efforts to recruit qualified people for very important jobs. And it's the situation that Ogdensburg has faced in the past few years. It's taken some time to fill jobs, department head jobs, and having a little more flexibility with regards to residency might help the applicant pool for us. I note that there are some city charters in New York State municipalities that the residency, as this proposes us, at the discretion of council, many allowing an appointed official to live within the county of their residence or in adjoining county. So just to point that out, that this proposal, in my view, is consistent with the request of council. I think the issue of vacancies, I think Jen asked the question, vacancies on council. Again, just reminders of the community in 2023, when a vacancy existed, council went through 22 ballots without electing a nominee to fill the seat. The seat remained open for the balance of the 2023 year. And so again, at the recommendation of council, at the request of council, we asked the commission to look at this, consider tightening up the voting process so that if it couldn't be achieved in a reasonable number of ballots, that back out and start all over again and conduct a second canvass of the city. So the changes in language of recommended budget, preliminary budget, the current language is a little bit confusing as to which budget would become the adopted budget in December if council failed to adopt. Would it be the preliminary budget, the first budget that the city manager brought forward, or would it be that budget modified by council before November 1st? So this is a housekeeping effort, I think, to better define what those budgets are, and that if in fact city council failed to adopt a budget in a timely manner, then it's the modified budget, the budget modified by council in October becomes the budget for the next year. So that's the rationale behind those changes.
I'm sorry, Mayor. I'm not reading it then. I'm reading it if council doesn't modify a budget, then the city manager's recommended budget becomes.
No, that becomes the recommended budget as of October 31st, but still subject to revision.
Oh, okay.
So for the December 1st.
Gotcha. Okay, I was wondering about it.
There's two different deadlines.
Okay,
So,
so this addresses the first
yes.
deadline. Okay.
I think there was another section concerning December that we didn't change, so. it's
Right,
not-
that's not on there. All right, that's where I was getting a little, wow, that's a quick time frame. But yeah, all right, I get it.
Yep, and then just again, with regards to the timing of how often the Charter Review Commission will meet, and whether there should be some sort of consequence if the council fails to adopt appoint a commission in a timely manner. Prior council revised this section from 6 years to 10 years, which had been in place for many charters until the charter before this one was reduced to 6. They opted to move it back to 10. They removed the consequence if a commission wasn't appointed. And that language comes from many years ago. There was a period of time where a charter commission was appointed 12 years after the previous charter commission. So it was 2 years beyond the deadline. There was no consequence. So the charter commission at that time recommended the consequence that council adopted. and is now being restored to the recommendation of this commission. So those are my observations, at least at this point. Anything else from council?
Could you talk to how the commission actually looked at the increase in salaries for council?
Well, we talked about when it was last discussed, which goes back quite a ways, when it was last happened. We had data that showed us comparatively municipalities, not other cities, because they're, us being there, but other municipalities in the county and the rates that were being paid there. I mean, I think we just looked at that as a comparative thing and said, it's been too long, needs to go up a little bit like everything else around us. We did not feel that the recommendation was onerous, was relatively inflationary, I think was the term that we talked about. We didn't want it to be something other than that, but we also didn't feel it should slip another 6 years and, potentially not be addressed.
Thank you.
Yeah, the County Mayors Association did a salary survey of county municipalities last November. So that information was shared with the commission.
I thought so, but because it's in this recommendation and it's $12,000 total expense, I just wanted to have some additional, you can explain it
Sure.
somewhat, but I wanted to have additional information just for public. So thank you very much, Jim. I appreciate that.
I'm sorry, you have no standing to speak at this time, Mr. McNamara. You have opportunity to speak with us later. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? And again, except for the July meeting, I was able to overhear the discussions by the Charter Commission because they met in former Council Chambers 3, and I chose to be in my office for each of those meetings, just in case there was a topic question came up where they might have a question that I might be able to help with. So I think that happened maybe once in the 6 meetings I had. But I was able to overhear the discussions, and as Jim points out, these 12 citizens really did their homework in advance of the meetings, came prepared with thoughtful discussion. And again, where there are times where there was differing opinions, it was all handled in a very respectful manner with one another. And so I extend our appreciation, council, to the 12 citizens who served on this commission and for your professionalism and conduct in dealing with this important document for the city. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, lastly, we have a presentation from City Controller Angela Gray regarding the mid-year financial report. There'll be an opportunity of their public appearance for people to address council.
Mr. Cronus was apathetic at the meetings that when he presented, if we wanted to talk, we were allowed as a part of the commission to get up and also talk. If that's not the case right now, that's what we would do.
That wasn't communicated to council.
Why don't you tell them what you just said to me? You're one way, a one-way person. Democrat.
That was communicated to council, or that was not communicated to council. But there is an opportunity for you to address council under personal appearance if you choose to do so.
Did you, Jim, John, do you hear this? We can't talk.
Can't talk?
No. Did they tell us we were supposed to be able to talk here?
The other one
I'm sorry, this discussion is not appropriate at this time.
That's fine. That's what we were told. I wouldn't think, but Jim did a great job.
You should wait. She's still.
It's, but no, it was supposed to be part of the presentation. That's okay. Thank you.
Angela, will you please proceed with your presentation?
Good evening again. What we have before us is a second quarter report, which is a very high-level review of city financial operations as of June 30th, 2025. So it focuses on the first 6 months of the year. If you'd go to the next slide, Kimberly, please. What we're looking at is a chart that's showing the annual budget versus the year-to-date actual budgeted numbers. So the blue bar in each of the three funds, sewer, water in general, represents the budgeted numbers. And as you can see, overall, within all the funds, we have collected on average 50% of the revenues. General fund, a little bit higher. Some of that is because of the timing of which the revenues come in. So we get the heaviest revenue first 2.5 months of the year, which are our property taxes. So that's a significant portion of that revenue that has come in year to date. On the next slide, what we're looking at are our expenses in the same format, how much of the appropriations have been spent year to date. And we have 48% of the sewer appropriations, 7% of the water, and 40% of the general fund. Now, the general fund is interesting. It's got some expenses coming up. So a lot of that looks like we haven't kind of hit where we'd expect to be. The 50% portion is due to the timing in which we have recognition of these expenses throughout the year. And on the next slide, we have presented our major revenue items within the general fund. So bottom to top, our very first one outside of property taxes, because we know that's fully budgeted for and filled throughout the year. And the one that we are watching with fine tooth comb, I guess, right now is the sales tax. We have reached 46% of our budget through the first 6 months of the year. We would have hoped that had hit 50 plus. We have presented in previous meeting that we are expecting to come in under budget there. So that being our second largest revenue source within the general fund is extremely meaningful to be under budget by any portion. The state revenue sharing, we have not seen any money come in for that, which is very customary. We don't receive we receive a very small portion in September, and then the largest portion of that funding, which is 1.9 million, comes in the month of December, I believe. So the interfund revenue, that is revenue that represents monies transferred from the water and sewer. It will always be on budget. It's at 50%. The departmental income, we've hit 84% of all of the departments within the city. When we look at what was budgeted, what we've received, we're at 84% there. And recreation is 67%. Turning the page, what we have presented here are the comparisons expenditures. When we look at what were we spending in 2024, which are the orange bars, versus what we've spent in 2025, we can see by the 6 major categories within the general fund that our expenditures are very much on target for this first 6 months as they were last 6 months. So we have a lot of consistency in our spending. Overall, I would say we have 50% remaining, greater than 50% remaining in each one of these functions. Some of the expenditures that are recognized after the June month are significant. So it's the CHIPS money that we spend on our roads. In the summer, we see a spike in overtime within the police department. In December, there's a payout of accrued time to the fire department. That is a 6-figure plus number routinely. And then some of our debt payments aren't due until later part of the year. So those are that will slowly exceed that 50% mark rather quickly over the next 3 months. Turning the page, as a summary of the second quarter in brief of the general fund, we have received 46% of our sales tax, as we've discussed. There's been a significant increase in code enforcement revenues when we compare that to 2024. So when we think back a couple slides, whereas the departmental revenue was hitting 84%, a lot of the contributing factor to that is the codes department. So we do have seeing a lot of activity there this year. Recreation, or no, we've had discussions about what to do with the recreation department in previous, earlier on in the year council meetings. Those revenues are very comparable to the year before, so there's no large spike there. And the 400,000 has been transferred to the general fund from water and sewer. We will continue to transfer money each month. And by the end of the year, that will be an $800,000 transfer from the combination of both of those funds. Year-to-date expenditures overall in the general fund are 40% of the annual budget. We do know we have some large ones coming. And we will continue to monitor these expenditures for alignment with our budgetary goals. And also doing an analysis of the remaining appropriations because we are anticipating a shortfall of revenue. So what do we do with that? We have already appropriated, as I stated earlier this evening, $450,000 of fund balance to cover these very expenditures. So turning the page and looking at the water fund summary, everything revenue-wise is, coming in as the budget was billed. The billings are actually, let me rephrase that. The billings are in target with our budgeted items. Year to date, our expenditures have hit 43% of the fund budget overall, very comparable to the year before. One of the things that we have going on in the water fund is the East David Street water project. So that's a project that's being split in part sewer, part water. The water portion is self-funded, which means we'll be paying that bill or performing the services on that project. To date, as of this date, we have already incurred $280,000 of expenditures in engineering costs on that project, all of that coming from the water fund. So definitely a point of discussion as we talk about what rates should be in 2026 and ongoing. Looking at the next slide is the brief sewer fund summary. Again, the revenues, the major revenues are being billed and aligning with the budget as anticipated. There are some minor fluctuations. We do see a significant over budgeted item in a positive way on the revenue side for sewer services to other governments, which is leachate that we're receiving. When the budget was set, a little unsure of what this revenue line could do because we don't have the history there, but pleased to report that it's at a budget. Our year-to-date expenditures are 47% of the overall budget, and again, all of the funds are being closely monitored. The last bullet point there is projecting forward, probably the most important bullet point to reference in this presentation. While the sewer fund on this 12-month reporting period will be January to December 2025 is doing what the budget is calling for it to do. However, the reliance on fund balance in this fund with the current debt service is not sustainable with the current rates. So there really needs to be a hard look to address those sewer rates in order to meet future debt obligations. We have a over $1 million per year for the next 28 years, I think, obligation in this fund. So the next slide will show us our usable fund balance in each one of these funds at rates that sewer fund balance cannot pay 2 years of the sewer debt. So there's really some discussion that needs to be had there. These fund balance are what we consider usable fund balance. So not all of the fund balance is usable. And these are in line with the 2024 audit that was just presented to you. So point of reference as we move forward. Staffing updates on the next slide will tell us and tell everybody some positions that we have hired this year. We appointed a permanent assessor, a finance director, a deputy clerk, an economic developer. We've hired additional firefighters. We've hired additional police officers. So there has been some investment in personnel. And that's just for point of reference. Are there any questions?
Questions or comments? Angela, just in regard to that last, are the positions hired, these were all budgeted?
Yes, they were. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Council.
We do not have any public hearings tonight, so that brings us to personal hearings. Before we begin tonight, I've been asked to remind the public about this part of the agenda. Section AR 17 of the Administrative Regs, the city's municipal code, deals with citizen participation. And that section G, citizen participation, is included in the agenda at every meeting when you come in and pick it up. And just to reference a couple of points within the code with regards to the time limit, and in personal appearance, the time limit is 5 minutes. And then in citizen participation, that time limit is 2 minutes. In an effort to help speakers meet the target to stay within the permitted timeline, we're reverting back to a prior practice where if a speaker gets to the point where there's 30 seconds left in their presentation, the city clerk will show a card to them to remind them 30 seconds to go, and would ask them to try to wrap up within the timeline. Also, all remarks should be addressed to council as a body and not to any individual member thereof, and no questions asked of councilors except through the chair. Section 7.3, personal and slanderous remarks. Any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks who shall become boisterous while addressing the council may be requested to leave the meeting and may be forthwith by the presiding officer barred from further audience before the council. So again, I was asked to remind the community of the guidelines. It's council's discretion to allow public participation in its meetings, and it's our option, and we want public participation in our meetings. We want to hear your thoughts on various issues affecting the city. We just ask you to stay within the parameters of the guidelines that are set up under the code. Just be respectful and stay within the allotted timelines and sections of the agenda. So with that, at this time, if anyone attending in person would like to address council, please come down to the podium and you will have 5 minutes.
Yes. I really hope Tanya Snyder. I really hope tonight is the night that we've been waiting to hear. Clarity with home occupation definition and proper enforcement is resolved. As you will see in the handout, this is where selective enforcement has been used in the city and what businesses are being targeted. This business is paying a residential flat rate for water and sewer and has been open since March 2025. How is it classified as an Airbnb with 4 bedrooms, 4 beds, 4 baths, and sells merchandise? You wonder why we're here week after week. Code enforcement and council have been informed about this business months ago, and still nothing's been done about it. Why? How is a newly opened business not paying the correct water and sewer rates? That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Kylie Morrow, and I'm here tonight to express serious concern about the discriminatory and inconsistent application of additional water and sewer charges to home businesses in the city of Ogdensburg. This entire issue began when certain home business owners came forward stating that they believed they were being unfairly charged. That was, and still is, the root of this controversy. Instead of addressing those individual concerns with transparency and fairness, the city has responded. The city's response has been to broaden the application of these charges, but to do so inconsistently and arbitrarily. Some home business owners are now being billed, while others, who have even returned the affidavit mailed by the city, or who never even returned the affidavit mailed by the city are not. There has been no clear standard, no consistent enforcement, and no justification for this unfair treatment. This is not good governance. It is discriminatory, and it erodes public trust in the fairness of our city's policies. These new charges unfairly target essential service providers, particularly licensed family daycare homes. These providers care for up to 16 children daily, operate under strict New York State regulations to ensure safety and quality. Rather than supporting these businesses that are critical to working families, the city has chosen to burden them with extra fees, while other home-based businesses, some serving adults, others using more water, go unbilled. Even more troubling is the statement made by the city manager suggesting that family daycare providers could remove themselves from the registry to avoid these charges. That suggestion was not only inappropriate, it was irresponsible. Deregistering from the New York State oversight would mean giving up a license, losing legal status, and potentially operating outside of the law. Was that the city managers encouraging businesses to become illegal operations? That would directly endanger children, reduce accountability, and further strain an already limited supply of safe childcare in Ogdensburg. Let me be clear, our licensed in-home providers are not the problem. They are a solution to a larger issue of childcare accessibility. The city should be doing everything it can to retain and support them. If the original concern that some home business owners were being unfairly charged still cannot be resolved with transparency and consistency, then we urge the city council to put a stop to these charges altogether. You cannot create fairness by spreading injustice. You can only create fairness by treating everyone equally under the same rules with full transparency and accountability. Please take this matter seriously, review the process, apply policies uniformly or not at all. These families, children, and small business owners of Ogdensburg deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, friends. First of all, I'd like to get into a letter of correspondence, the only one that's going to be recited here at tonight's meeting soon. And I'm just going to read one paragraph of it. This is from Christina Norton from, I won't read her address, Ottawa, Ontario. So this is a Canadian. This is not a United States resident who sent this letter. It's going to be presented here tonight. Her paragraph states, I love to cross the border, shop, and generally spend at least $500 to $700 CDN each time I visit your establishment. In particular, I love to visit Aldi's and Price Chopper, Buster's, Phillips Diner, Walmart, the shoe department, Encore, this, that, and the other thing. She buys all her family's footwear here for the year. I'm going to fast forward. I'm very sorry that now I'm unable and unsafe to cross the border at Prescott, Ontario, because the new government's policies. I am in fear of ending up in ICE holding center, far from home, for no apparent reason. I am a Canadian citizen, but that doesn't appear to matter to your immigration people at times, from what I am reading in the papers and online. First of all, everything this lady's saying is a bunch of bullshit, number one. I talked to the U.S. side of the Ogdensburg Prescott Bridge before this meeting tonight, and they said that is completely false. It's untrue. No Canadian citizens have been detained or are being detained by ICE. And I'm sick of this fear mongering and the fact that you guys would let a foreign citizen who's not a U.S. citizen have this letter recited at this democratic controlled city is crazy. And it's uncalled for, and it's fear mongering, and it's not true. You guys are using your friends across the border, whichever one of you knows this lady, to go against your own federal government. Interesting. Now I'll move on. I don't want to get into too much on the recent hire of the city. I just will say that last meeting when it said we were $250,000 behind in our upcoming budget, I don't know how WWNY can say that the money for that hire was already figured into the last budget and hold a straight face without laughing. That's unreal. I had some questions about the qualifications. For anyone to move to Augsburg and become an economic developer, you better show me some type of qualifications or where you've done so in other instances. And that's, I'm sorry, but being a department manager or whatever of Babies R Us, that doesn't describe that to me. The residency requirements, that's a real interesting issue here for the employees. Employees that don't live here, they don't care about Augsburg. I have had city employees tell me to my face that they couldn't be paid enough to live here, yet they all work here because they're good paying government jobs with benefits. And it'd be interesting to know the amount of revenue we're losing because it's public information. If we were to look into, okay, here's a list of, since we want to go after daycare providers, here's a list of city employees that don't live in the city of Augsburg. Here's what they pay in taxes on their house and land in the place where they reside, and here's what we're losing out on. And I bet you that number's I bet you it's pretty high. And to give any of yourselves a raise right now, and I know it's not a huge raise and you're not paid a ton of money to do what you do, but to do that is pretty hypocritical at this point in time. When the citizens demanded, they wanted another police officer, some of you have agreed with that, this, that, and the other thing. Now we got city management who comes in, who we had this committee go out and pick this guy. Well, what I've seen is he comes in and he wants to hire outside entities. He wants to hire this director of economic development. He wants to hire a group of people to work around him to do what his job is for all of us to, it's what we should be able to trust in him to do these things. And I hate to say it, I wasn't the biggest fan of our inter-city manager before him, but she honestly seemed to be getting a hell of a lot more done by herself than what I see right now.
Please wrap up.
Yeah, I'll wrap up if that's what you want, Mike. The best thing I can say to wrap this up quick for you is an army of sheep led by a lion will always conquer an army of lion led by a sheep. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in council chambers who wishes to address council? Now, if anyone attending remotely would like to address council, please use the raise hand feature. The city clerk will recognize and unmute one person at a time, and you will have 5 minutes.
I do not see any hands raised, Mayor.
That brings us to correspondence. I believe we have one letter tonight.
Yes, Mayor. Dear Mayor and Council, I just wanted to write to all of you and express both my thanks for the wonderful welcomes I have received in your town, at your stores, restaurants, etc., during the numerous times I have visited over the past 30+ years. I love to cross-border shop and generally spend at least $500 to $700 Canadian each time I visit your various establishments. In particular, I love to visit Aldi's and Price Chopper, Buster's and Phillips Diner, Walmart, the shoe department, Encore, and the dollar store. I buy all my and my family's footwear there for the year. I've always enjoyed how welcoming the people in the stores and restaurants are to Canadians. I'm very sorry that I now feel unable and unsafe to cross the border at Prescott Ogdensburg because of the new government's policies. I'm in fear of ending up in an ICE holding center far away from home for no apparent reason. I am a Canadian citizen, but that doesn't appear to matter to your immigration people at times from what I am reading in the papers and online. I miss you, I miss shopping there, and I miss the nice people. Whenever my friends and I come to your town, we always stop first at Phillips Diner for an early breakfast around 7 a.m. For many years, I had befriended an elderly veteran there named Bruce, who was a regular. He told me he worked for the U.S. military, disarming bombs and things like that. He was such a kind, sweet man and always interesting to chat with. Sadly, I was told by staff there during my last visit last September that Bruce had sadly died during COVID. May he rest in peace. The staff there are always so friendly, and we had befriended some new patrons there in the past few years. You have a lot of veterans in your town, and it seems quite a few like to go there. My dad was a Korean and World War II veteran as well, and it makes me feel closer to him when I am there. After a hearty breakfast at Phillips, we always go to Walmart. U.S. prices are so much better in general, even with the exchange rates and duty factored in. There's generally an Amish couple selling their homemade baked goods from a stand with their buggy and horse near Aldi's by the dollar type store. I think it might be Dollar General, and we always have a nice visit and chat when purchasing some of their items. We usually finish up our shopping at Shoe Department, Encore, Price Chopper, Aldi's, and then lunch for Buster's, filling up with gas at the station near the Walmart before heading back home. We always take home some of the coconut cream pie from Buster's as well because it was so delicious. I just wanted to let you on town council know that this Canadian misses all of you. I'm sorry for how things are right now between our two countries, but that to me is no reflection on the American public at large. To me, it is merely your current president and the policies he is implementing. I miss your town, your stores, and the people, and I will be back as soon as things get back to normal, or at least until I feel safe to cross the border. In the meantime, I wish all of you well, good health, and I hope your town does well despite the downturn in cross-border traffic. By the way, I appreciate the fact that so many people turned out by the river this month to fly our Canadian flag and to show us we are still welcome there. God bless America, the people in it, and especially the wonderful people and businesses in Ogdensburg. Until we meet again, sincerely, Christina North.
Okay, so that brings us to our consent agenda. That the claims as enumerated in general fund warrant 14-2025 in the amount of $588,008.37, and library warrant number 14-2025 in the amount of $0, and capital fund warrant number 14-2025 in the amount of $1,297.35, and community development fund warrant number 14-2025 in the amount of $36.72, and community renewal fund warrant number 14-2025 in the amount of $0 as audited, being the same hereby are ordered paid. I so move.
Second.
Kathy, please call the roll.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Tebow, approved.
We don't have any appointments tonight, so that brings us to items for council action. Our first item of business will be read by City Manager Fonda Cronis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A resolution to call for a public hearing and public notice regarding a local law to amend the city charter as recommended by the Ogdensburg Charter Review Commission.
Someone care to introduce this?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Any discussion? Kathy, please call the roll.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Tebow,
Yes.
approved.
Our next item of business will be read by City Manager Fonda Cronis.
A resolution to accept the 2024 audit.
Someone care to introduce
I'll
this?
move that.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Kathy, please call the roll.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Tebow,
Yes.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
approved.
That brings us to old business. Does everyone have any old businesses?
I have one item, Your Honor.
Yes, please.
I continue to have citizens reach out to me about e-bikes and the dangers involved with them. And particularly, I had experiences at a number of events over the last week where youngsters are riding the e-bikes on sidewalks at very high rates of speed, and citizens don't feel safe. And I know that some of this is limited, and we will have to look at some council action at some point. But is there anything we could do to do a public awareness campaign about e-bikes not allowed on sidewalks? You know, encouraging helmets, just different things.
Sure, I'll bring that up as a topic of discussion at tomorrow's management meeting, and let's see what we can come up with.
It's particularly, again, the Maple City Trail, people are walking and they're so silent in just number of places. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other old business?
I'd like to thank Shane and DPW for, the city looked really good this week for Sealy Festival, so thank you, Shane, and the boys at DPW. Great job.
I would echo that.
All right, and then for me, just in response to the question raised at the last meeting about the various definitions in the municipal code that relate to home businesses. In reviewing this with the city attorney, he points out that there are two separate chapters of the code, and each has a different and distinct definition of what constitutes in the zoning area, home occupation, profession, where basically all home businesses are subject to some sort of zoning regulation. Whereas there's a definition in commercial residential mixed structure in the water code, again, is specific to that code, and based on the definition of that code, as has been pointed out, not all home businesses are subject to the additional user fee for water and sewer. Any other old business? Brings us to new businesses. Anyone have any new businesses? All right, seeing none, items for discussion. Anyone have an item for discussion this evening?
I have one.
Yes, please.
And I'm mentioning it because Mr. McNamara brought it up. But the letter from Christina Norton, a citizen, I'd like to make the record straight, Mr. McNamara, that council did not fear-monger and rouse this woman. In fact, when we saw the letter, several of us addressed her and assured her that she's welcome to Ogdensburg. She will not be facing scrutiny with ICE. Not sure where she got that. And there's several of us that in fact did that. And she even responded thanking us for the insurance and made us aware that she'll be returning soon with her endeavors. And I think it's important as a council that we welcome good Canadian citizens here, make sure that they know they're not going to face scrutiny with ICE. I mean, clearly, if we have an issue and there's an issue at the border where we know that there's a decline, maybe other Canadians are thinking this for some reason. It's certainly not from this council trying to fearmonger in any way whatsoever. And I'd like to, I'm sure, share our thoughts that we welcome all good Canadian citizens to come to our town and visit, shop, or do whatever they like. So just wanted to say that.
And just to follow up on that, as Councilor Scampi pointed out, I believe at least 3 councilors issued email responses to the email received from Christina Norton. I think in our own way, we made reference to the points made by Mr. McNamara tonight that there really isn't a need to be fearful of coming into the United States. There really isn't a fear, at least the Augsburg-Prescott Bridge, about being detained by ICE or so I think the message we gave to her resulted in what Councilor Scampi just read in her follow-up email that she now intends to start returning to visit the city. So I think in terms of that messaging, we were on the same page. Any other items for discussion?
Your Honor, I'd just like to say that we did the tour of the Marina District last Friday. It was a small group, but it was a very good group. I heard back from a number of the businesses that they were very pleased to have some highlights given of their developing progress on their plans and future plans that they are going and what progress they have to date. I do have a few organizations that were not able to attend, and they will be reaching out to have a separate tour of the next week or two. But it was good, and it was a good walkabout, and it was good for Tyler Parks to be there, our new economic developer, and to meet people from the Chamber of Commerce and other government entities and the businesses. So I believe that it was a very good event, and thank you to all that attended.
Thank you, Council. Any other items for discussion? Okay, so with that, brings us to citizen participation. At this time, if anyone attending in person would like to address council, please come down to the podium and you will have 2 minutes.
Hello again, friends. I just want to make it, for the record, I'm not trying to deter any Canadians from coming over here anyways, at all. I think they should come over here. It seems that the protests that have gone on, the last couple of protests here, which some of this council and the mayor have attended, were definitely against the federal government and in support of some of these ideas. So you can try to act like you just don't, you know, you didn't agree with the lady after the fact when I came here and pointed it out to you is that what she said was nonsense. That's fine. Maybe that's what you should say there at the table then, is it's absolute nonsense, because that's what it was in that letter. Thank you.
Anyone else in chambers?
Arlene Kaya, daycare. I'm here over the sewer and water with daycare. You don't want to hear it, I get it. But you aren't doing it. You've got 6 businesses that haven't paid anything to August sewer bill. If you did it under something different and did a permit, you'd be getting 165 right away. You're not getting 165 from these 6 people. You sent out 42 letters. 2 businesses closed down, 6 paying in August, 3 already paying, but double before it came to things, 15 not paying, and 12 daycare providers. You just haven't wanted to listen to us, and you don't want to listen to us, and you don't want to do anything about it. But yet when I call in about a camper in the backyard, that got shut down 24 hours. Kudos that you looked up that code and figured it out. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in chambers? Now, if anyone attending remotely would like to address council, please use the raise hand feature. The city clerk will recognize and unmute 1 person at a time, and we will have 2 minutes.
I do not see any hands raised, Mayor.
Right, with the consensus of council, I do not believe we have a need for the executive session on the agenda tonight. So with